everyone, in this video I want to talk about the problem related to any global earth pollution related parameters or anything that is impacting our quality of life in a particular city. I want to talk regarding the critical discernment that is required in healthcare currently, and in multiple elements of healthcare, because if we truly want a healthy society, truly want to solve problems related to health in a manner where it actually gets resolved rather than just giving a superficial solution to some of our health problems and challenges, then whatever humanity has done so far in the last 100,000, 2,000 years of existence related to health, healthcare, healing, policies related to supporting better health, all this needs to change globally. People have already woken up what needs to change, but despite the people who work in healthcare, who work in science, who are medical practitioners, who work in governments, despite some people waking up to what needs actually changing, sometimes even when we have a highly educated population globally, there are people who live in denial of the impact of their choices. There are also some people who do not want to fight against the data that is already emerging, because it can lead to controversies, and as a result of it, sometimes people write papers like the paper I found online, and there are two papers that I'm going to reference with this video. These are all newspaper articles. The first newspaper article is talking, not newspaper meaning online media articles. So in these online media articles, the first one is talking about how in Delhi, even though Supreme Court has tried to ban firecrackers, the article is talking about how after 2 weeks of Diwali, the air pollution levels in Delhi has not gone down. And the second article was talking about there were two research papers they referenced in that newspaper article. One research paper gave a inconclusive evidence conclusion that Diwali like festivals can cause increase in air pollution, or that data is inconclusive. That's what they concluded. And the other research paper gave a terminology that there's only 8% of impact on pollution, air pollution levels, when burning of wastage is done, which is called parali in that newspaper article. So now both of them, the way this whole article from online media has been written is written in such a coached way, and in such a way that anyone who will look into this and is not critically discerning what is going on, anyone who is not going through health problems because of air pollution, anyone who doesn't live in Delhi, anyone who hasn't scrutinized deeply why air pollution can happen in our life, anyone who wants to continue celebrating Diwali because that's what they have been used to doing for so many years, all of these biases can play a role. Biases, personal agenda, all of these can play a role sometimes in causing people to live in denial or not give credit to someone else's experience. This is the same thing we have seen with climate change related debates that have happened in US. In climate change related debates, when people are talking about how climate change is impacting our earth, and the rise in temperatures is causing the Arctic regions ice to melt, it's also causing other health and natural disasters in different places of the world, or other problems as well have been shown up due to there are places in the tropical countries where data has also emerged that every couple of degree rise in temperature of a tropical country can also cause in those countries increased levels of fighting and conflicts in those regions. So a person who lives in US, not being from a tropical country, or if there aren't enough people in US who have had a tropical country's experience of conflict or experience of increasing temperatures during summer season, will naturally, having lived in a cooler country, think can be in denial about the impact of temperature rises, right? Because for a country where the temperatures are really really cool most of the year, unless in the summertime some major globalization or global warming related issues start impacting people's health, those people will stay, most of those people, having not experienced that thing personally, might end up denying the experience because they haven't witnessed it, they are not experiencing it. And that's why, even if there are knowledgeable people who know that climate change, if not um, worked on in the right earth aligned balanced ways, it cannot be something, and that balance can happen only when globally everyone in every country awakens to how climate change is impacting their health. Then only the climate change related things can eventually cause people to first admit that it is actual problem. It's also similar to something that happened during Second World War, when in Germany, when the Jews and other marginalized population were being put into prison. Those people who don't live in Germany, those who don't live in these countries where these imprisonment camps were going on, for them, anyone who lived outside of these countries didn't even know that this was happening. Even someone in Germany might also have some people, if they lived in very remote areas of Germany possibly, or any of the countries where these imprisonments happened, if you were living in very far places where people were not practicing the imprisonment, for them also it would be like a new thing. They wouldn't know whether it is actually happening or not. So that's why, during the World War II, there was so much denial about the problems of the persecution of the Jews and other marginalized groups, right? But because Jews were also, and we mostly know about the Jews problems, but was it just the Judaism practicing people who were put in these imprisonment camps, or were there other people also, other population groups also, who were imprisoned during the World War II? So those things, those data that needs to emerge as to who were institutionalized, those kind of data doesn't emerge, and only emerges when people actually go and start first believing the people who are suffering, go and examine it, and after examining it, and when someone has actually taken the proactive actions and then actually realistically release prisoners from these camps, that's when mass scale denial that was going on for possibly a long time, or in many other countries where who were Germany's earlier allies but then became their then started fighting them, that thing eventually unfolded. So every time something that is going to, and this thing was something that disrupted people's functioning, there were certain things that were meant to happen that disrupted the entire global economy as well. So all these things unfolded as a result of something which could have been avoidable when the right measures had been taken, balanced approach had been present in people's lives, then a war like World War II could have been avoidable. But unfortunately, it wasn't avoidable, because even though there were possibly signs against the biases that was going on in Germany, many people might have ignored it. And after ignoring it for decades, or I don't know how long these problems were ignored in Germany, because my history knowledge is only up to what I'm explaining in these videos. So I don't have a deeper history knowledge about the systemic problems of that country. But whatever, and not just that country, but any country that allied with Germany, what were their systemic problems, I don't know about it. But there were systemic problems, that's why the war happened. Problems that were ignored, and problems that were after being ignored, the blame was put on a particular population group, and people decided they are to blame, and that's why they were imprisoned. And then whatever else unfolded, which was the cruelty towards those people, and other people not understanding that humans could have that level of cruelty didn't believe that initially, right? So this thing that happened in Germany, and then what happens is happening currently globally with global warming. Again, the denial, because not everyone lives in a tropical country and has not experienced the heavy tropical summers in India or Africa. You don't know how horrible it can be sometimes during the summer time in these countries, and every 1 degree rise also in temperature can become unbearable for someone if you are going through some health conditions and health issues, which if you're living in a country which is 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees cooler than India, will you have that same experience for a country that is 10, 20, 30 degrees cooler? When initially the temperature is no increasing, you will in fact enjoy that increase in temperature because you're not getting the harsh winters, which is what happened to me also. Because while I was from India, when I went and lived in US, of the 13 years I lived there were only 2-3 years in my existence in Utah where heavy snowfall was there and heavy cold weather conditions were there, and most of the other times the weather conditions were pretty pleasant during the winter time, or the snowfall was such a level that it was bearable snowfall. Why? Because of the precise reason of global warming, that while way before I lived in Utah, that was a place where heavy snowfall used to happen, or even in my initial years or middle years and end of the years in Utah, there were phases when heavy snowfall were happening. But because global warming is also happening, the rest of the years, the 9 years, for 8 9 years there was hardly any snowfall as well in the city, or very minimum manageable level snowfall, which caused the precipitation to happen in the city. So people were not concerned because your level of water problems were not impacted. But if global warming continues in that city and the snowfall now stops happening, or much less snowfall starts happening as a consequence of global warming, what will happen? Eventually your water levels will also dry up. And in fact, in some of the years while living there were times when 1 or 2 years people were concerned during the summer time that the water precipitation, adequate precipitation hadn't occurred there. And that is the same problem in countries like India and in African countries, when global warming results in droughts to manifest, results in lower waterfall to manifest. In some areas like in India, what is happening, certain parts of India is getting much lower rainfall and other parts of India is getting much abnormal levels of rainfall. That can also manifest as a result of abnormal climate changes and patterns, because of whatever is going on in our human activities, which are impacting our planetary weather conditions as well. It's just that because people don't deeply study it, or we are not deeply knowledgeable about it, that's why we don't understand. And also because human activities impact on something isn't like how this article is mentioning. That in this article it is mentioning that since after Diwali 2 weeks have passed away and the air pollution levels have not gone down in Delhi, that means that firecracker bursting during Delhi is not directly related to their air pollution. This is the conclusion they are giving, because they want a very direct result from people. Not if there is a ban in Delhi of not bursting firecrackers, does it mean that the air pollution will go down drastically, or does it mean the air pollution related to firecracker bursting will go down? And even if there was certain ban created, what kind of ban was created? Was it a ban where people were allowed to burst some firecrackers during Diwali? Was it a ban where instead of 5 days of firecracker bursting, they allowed only 1 day of bursting? Was it a ban where, even though ban was created, because Delhi is also a very politically power related place, money related place, people there can easily bribe the cops and still burst crackers, right? So if you do not consider all these factors into your input of whether the firecracker ban was really implemented there, can you conclusively say that the firecrackers, that's why also the paper is also saying they don't know whether the firecrackers cause impact in the air quality or not. Why? One is there could the people who are writing the papers could have a bias. Second is, even if they don't have a bias, if their data is inconclusive, sometimes how you do a study can cause a data to be inconclusive. And now that the reason why, if you are a novice researcher, at that time you will not know how to scrutinize your data the right way, how to place the methods of how to check this whether air pollution is indeed getting impacted during firecracker bursting time. All these things, people will not do the experiment in the right way to come to the right conclusion, because you have to take away, there are ways to take away these biases. Whether first of all, also, even if the ban was there implemented on Diwali day, let's say people had already bought firecrackers before the ban, they could have burst the firecrackers not on Diwali day but 5 days later on Bhai Dooj, or they could have burst firecrackers, they will continue to burst firecrackers here and there. How do you know that even though the ban is there for not mass scale doing it on Delhi, if people just don't do it during Diwali but do it on some other day, will it also impact your air quality? It might impact your air quality. Secondly, even though New Delhi has banned their firecracker uses, and let's say every citizen of New Delhi is prim and proper and they didn't burst any firecrackers during the whole month of October and November in Delhi. But is Delhi the only place where firecracker is getting burst during Diwali time? No. Firecracker is been burst in Haryana, it's been burst in Uttarakhand, it's been burst in all neighboring cities and states of Delhi. So, and when air pollution happens, the air pollution of a particular area will be, is it only dependent on the air pollution control parameters of that area or also of the surrounding area? And in fact, the reason why they couldn't find a conclusive data about air pollution levels, why? Because as soon as Delhi is not doing any major firecracker bursting, but rest of India is continuing to do a lot of firecracker bursting, all the neighboring places where the firecracker bursting has not been banned, there Delhi having cleaner air now for temporarily for a few days, the neighboring areas polluted air will have what? When you burst firecrackers, how is the air pollution created? Air pollution is created via the smoke, via the burning and of paper and other ingredients of a firecracker, and the particulate matter increases in the air. That is what is leading to increased air pollution due to firecrackers. And for that you don't need actually a data of some machine to tell you, and when you're only scrutinizing your paper based on machine data but are not trusting your visible data. And also at that time, if you really want to see if air pollution is impacting people, should you just see at the particulate matter levels of this much particulate matter is there in Delhi, or do you also need to see how people's health were impacted? So where the actual reason for banning it is health reasons, right? So you need to scrutinize the health data, that did people's health get better during Diwali, what is happening, look at that. And secondly, you cannot just simply ban a small city from bursting firecrackers and allow the bursting of firecrackers in all the neighboring cities, because all the people in Delhi, in fact, now if they had already bought firecrackers before the ban, they would go to their neighboring city in Agra or Mathura or Haryana somewhere or Punjab somewhere, and then go and burst firecrackers in those neighboring states and cities. And in fact, they could even end up worsening the problem, that now being mad that the Delhi government has banned the firecrackers, they could have even in fact burst more firecrackers than normal. And then what will happen if more firecrackers have been burst, if all the neighboring cities have burst whatever firecrackers were to be burst in Delhi that year? Like people bought, let's say last year you had bought 100 firecrackers, this year also a family has bought 100 firecrackers, and now all the families, like let's say some family bought 100, 100, some bought 10, some bought 500, whatever number you had bought, you went and burst the firecrackers in your neighboring cities, then will its air pollution eventually come back into Delhi, or is it going to stay only in the neighboring place city? Because, or let's say someone just to mock the government went and took one step out of Delhi's limit. You are not even actually inside the other city also, you're just right there in the border of Delhi and bursting firecrackers. Again, will it all come back if you went like 2-3 hours away from Delhi, or you went only 5 minutes away from Delhi's boundary? Will all of it eventually impact the air quality in Delhi? Yes. So when a ban, when you want to really scrutinize data related to ban, you have to also understand human psychology, impact of all the policies you're making, what is the overall impact of it, and then if you conclude that banning the firecrackers didn't solve the problem, yes, it didn't solve the problem. Because why? Because the people who are, if people are not aligned and understanding why it is important to have a cleaner health, safer health, than simply be in the egotistical mode of enjoying something, then how much ever you ban something, the changes doesn't happen at a deeper level. In order for people in Delhi to really bring this change, and if really Delhi government wants to really make the ban a real impactful ban, that can only happen when first you, before the ban, if the Supreme Court is giving a date that do not burst firecrackers during Diwali, you can't, sign that whatever law you are signing, you can't sign it 2 days before Diwali or 1 month before Diwali. You might have to sign it for next year, and in that 1 year time that you give for some place to do the ban, the appropriate level would be what? You do not also, if you are banning the bursting of firecrackers, you have to also ban the sales of it. Like the right associated steps also have to be created, associated steps of providing something instead of a firecracker show. If you can do a online firecracker, something else, like something innovative to ensure that the people's fun doesn't go away, that could be one thing. Like you can do community firecracker bursting, like how it is done in US, where during 4th of July they celebrate their Independence Day with firecracker bursting. But instead of allowing, and even though people can technically go and buy some firecrackers and burst 1 or 2 firecrackers for their own purpose, most people, because they have also made firecrackers really expensive, so most people do not buy firecrackers. They have very limited sales of firecrackers, so the firecrackers, even if they are available in the market, get sold off very quickly. And thirdly, most of the time I didn't even know any laws and regulations regarding firecracker sales, but I had seen sometimes like some people personally bursting firecrackers during 4th of July. But in general, the city's policy was to have the city do the firecracker bursting in different pockets of the districts of the city. So that way, if different pockets of the city are doing it, every few half an hour distance, there was a garden and park where they were doing the firecrackers. It leads to people enjoying a community event, people seeing a firecracker and the magic of it, people spending time with each other, which is the whole point of celebration, spending time with each other, enjoying time with each other, watching the fireworks for 15-20 minutes, but the rest of the time they are spending more on socializing with each other, or spending that holiday, because it's a holiday in US, people spend the holiday going and doing stuff that you do with your family and friends when you have holidays. So the focus is on enjoyment of a holiday rather than on making the firecrackers the crux of the holiday. And same thing with Diwali. Is Diwali about only firecrackers? No, Diwali is about many other things, celebrations with family. So if you focus on those celebrations, that will help you. Secondly, if you've banned firecrackers but you didn't ban the burning of oil, midnight oil, burning of lamps, burning of anything that will add to the fire overall smoke in that area, because Diwali time is not simply getting impacted. There are two main culprits that they have detected in this newspaper article, and one was burning of all the wastage that happens during in any city. So burning of wastage was one culprit they thought. Second is burning of firecrackers. But these are not the only two reasons why any city will have air pollution problem. In my experience, not simply, I have not been to Delhi except one time, but and just flown through Delhi, but at that time I had experienced the air pollution issue there. And other than that, the different other parts of India that I have gone to, where air pollution levels are indeed high or similar to Delhi, or just a couple of points lower than Delhi, in all these places or many places of India where air pollution levels according to AQI index is actually very good quality or satisfactory quality. But the reality of those places are also where no firecracker is being burst and are still getting the okay air quality or satisfactory air quality. Even in those places, there's a high element of pollution present in their local environment. Where is that pollution, air pollution coming from? That air pollution is coming from in those cities, of course, when firecrackers are not being burst, it is coming from any industrial wastage related smoke or burning of all the trash that we produce in our city. That smoke, if you have recycling activities going on in that city or in some neighborhood near that city, that burning of when recycling is being done, and one part of the recycling process is implementing a lot of burning of the materials that you want to recycle. At that time also the smoke is created from burning of recycling materials, so that also then adds to the air pollution. Then if we are cooking in our homes, people don't realize it, but our home cooking also adds to air pollution. And during festival time, because you're inviting guests over, or you want to, people tend to overeat during festival time because we're going to a friend's house, they are cooking something for us, or we want to enjoy more, so we have saved some money to go to a restaurant to eat there. So a lot of eating activity is going on during the festival time. And now if the eating activity is not health aligned, meaning if when I've mentioned this in a previous video, but I'll mention it again in here, but when demand is high, at that time poor quality materials can also get introduced in the market if right market conditions or regulatory systems are not in place to keep ensure that good quality only will be used during festival time. And this is where true abundance is true. If you celebrate, it's very ironic that we are celebrating a festival of related to abundance, but people are completely misaligned with abundance during the festival of Diwali time. And because we are misaligned with abundance, we don't realize usually that what we are buying for food, for exchanging with neighbors, for cooking at home, sometimes very bad quality products can get introduced, and you are burning those and I have experienced it personally because I used to live by myself, so I had got more time to examine this when I was living by myself. That there was one year when the candles that were there in the market, they had a really bad scent in them, so those scent were really smoky, really toxic, and really harmful for health. So the scent used in those candles, the product, whatever is the base ingredient they're using to make those candles, they're all actually toxic. And possibly in other times they would not be able to sell those products because they are defective products or toxic products. But during Diwali, because demand is high, stores will buy it for cheap rates to make their profits. And while they're getting something for a cheap rate from some other place, from a manufacturer or a different country, or whatever the reason, wherever they are getting that product from, quality is not checked a lot in Indian market, so which is a problem zone and which needs to be rectified. And when Delhi government is getting involved, which is our central government's area of rule as well, these are the kind of steps and policies our government has to make, and our citizens have to wake up and support these policies as well. Because as I said, in Delhi, the reason why they might not have seen much significant difference in air quality level is because if neighboring city were bursting firecrackers, or if people were bursting the same level of firecrackers as before, just the number of fire, like let's say Delhi and 5 of its neighboring states used to last year they burst 1 million firecrackers. Now if in this year also all the states of the neighboring states of Delhi, including Delhi, is bursting 1 million firecrackers, has the ban created anything effective in India? No, because the number of firecrackers you burst was same, or if not same, if it is similar. Let's say because of the ban, last year 1 million firecrackers were burst, and this year 90,000 firecrackers were burst, or 900. I'm really bad at numbers. So let's say just 1% less or 10% less firecrackers were burst. So that if only 1% less firecrackers were burst by everyone around Delhi, then would it continue showing similar air quality levels, right? And is firecracker the only reason? No, because firecracker is not the only reason, and other reasons are not fixed for fixing the air pollution. Then it will continue. So you didn't reduce the number of firecrackers in the market, you didn't reduce the number of firecrackers in the market around your city as well, you didn't people continue to burst. Or if every year and there is a trend usually in a when a growing economy is there is a trend to continue increasing your firecracker bursting. So this year, despite the ban, if last year 1 million people had burst firecrackers, this year maybe 1.1 million people around Delhi might have burst firecrackers. So if 1.1 million have burst, in fact, despite the ban, the data could also have shown that increase in air pollution happened in Delhi. That could also have resulted. Why? Because you haven't banned the neighboring cities thing, you haven't banned the entry of firecrackers or the firecrackers industries impact on Indian economy. And yes, I understand that firecrackers and many Diwali dependent economies will crash if you don't do the ban effectively. That's why you have to start banning things from 1 year back. So those people who are working in the firecracker industry in our country, they need to be given what else does the government need to do? They need to start also focusing on giving jobs to those people who are in the firecracker industry. And now that you know that in 1 year that industry will fall, give them an alternate source of income, better source of income, put them in education, because many a times these firecracker industries has done work because these are small firecrackers. They're who works on those industries? Small children work usually, or people with smaller hands. So like women or children are mostly employed in creating the firecrackers. So give them an alternate source of income. That is also important. Then only a true ban when because if you don't want to tank the economy, that is how you have to do it. Give them an alternate source of income. Give them heads up about 1 year back or 6 months back to not produce as much as they would have produced when the ban is not there in the market. And also because that is also necessary, those industries also have to, the ban has to be not simply effective about people not bursting firecrackers, but the industry that produces, let's say in India they sell because billions of Indians are there. Of the billion plus Indian population, at least let's say half a billion people are buying firecrackers for Diwali. If half a billion people are buying, of that also half a billion times at least 100 number of firecrackers could potentially be there in the market, right? So that many amount of firecrackers, if they are allowed in the market, if they are there in the market already, you have to slowly only reduce its flow into the market, slowly reduce its use in the market, slowly diffuse the market in a way where you are turning those people who are working in those industries into some other labor related work. Same way with oil lamps, like we all buy the pottery related diyas and put oil in it, but if you are putting bad quality oil or in the market. And you will see also, like during puja time, you will have the in the puja aisle with the oil wick and with the other puja samagris, there will be also oil that will be there. But those oil also you will see are going to be most probably poor quality oil, which people are not going to eat for food purposes, and that's why they have those poor quality oil there, which are not for consumption purpose but for burning purposes. And now in that poor quality oil also, when you're burning, they will have high smoke points sometimes and cause increased particulate matter. So just banning firecrackers is not important. Banning of the oil lamps is also important. Banning of incense sticks and candles are also important. And if you do not want to ban them, you have to at least ban the number of places where you are allowing it. Meaning, is it okay? People, like how in 4th of July people are celebrating the firecracker at a community level, same way can we also light a candle or light a diya for 1 second in a temple or in a group activity related area, where just burning one lamp is enough for the whole society. Why do you have to burn it for every 100,000 people living in a particular society, particular city? One lamp should be enough. One lamp should be enough, because for God to bring prosperity in your life, do you think you are attracting prosperity if you attract large scale illnesses, severe illnesses in your population or in your city or in your family life? No, you are attracting opposite of abundance in your life when you create factors related to poor health circumstances in your life. Because the idiom or the phrase health is wealth is absolutely true. If you do not have good health, you cannot have wealth or enjoy wealth, or wealth is of no consequence actually if you do not have good health. So while these people are going and burning firecrackers, and then 1 month later, 2 months later, if their grandparents pass away, or 2 days later if their grandparent or pet passes away from the air pollution, were you responsible for their death, or you think magically they just died due to air pollution in your city? We are all responsible for the air pollution in our city based on what activities we do. So if I'm cooking and the ingredients in my cooking is all poor quality materials, it could be oil, it could be spices, it could be hurried cooking, because we have mass scale cooking is going on everywhere. So people want to do high temperature quick cooking, and when you're doing high temperature quick cooking or hurried cooking because you're cooking for a large number of people for celebration purposes, it could be in the restaurant, it could be in your home, it could be just someone celebrating on the streets, whatever it is, when that cooking is going on and mass scale people are frequenting a place for food, be it inside a home, in a hotel, anywhere, at that time quick cooking, fast cooking also results in, sometimes even if you have the best ingredients, quick and fast cooking can also result in burning of the food and causing the smoke that adds to the air pollution. So each of these factors are responsible. And the other paper that showed that 8% of air pollution levels in a particular city was the burning of wastage was responsible for 8% of air pollution levels in a particular place. But again, there is the same problem the day when you're doing the data. Today, if I do a data analysis of a particular data from a particular month or a particular year in a city, again, if that year good weather conditions were there, and what if in that year's data analysis that you're doing, at that time the air was dispelling all the smoke away to the neighboring cities, then at that time, while your data might be showing that 8% impact was there, the reality would be that the impact was more than 8%, except that because air pollution just travels and wanders around, some of the impact of that air pollution didn't stay in your city. It went to the neighboring cities as well and impacted their air quality. So that these deeper level scrutiny of what is happening is necessary. And okay, let's admit, only you want to be just looking at facts, you're not wanting to look at all these deeper diving, but looking at facts also, just because 8% seems like a small amount, but it is with these small 8% decrease in air pollution causing parameters, only you will actually end up with lower good air quality. So if Delhi right now has 400 AQI or 300 AQI, and they want to reduce to 200, 160, 140 AQI, slowly, step by step, everything that adds to its air pollution, every small step that is needed to reduce the air pollution only will eventually cause the air pollution levels to stay healthy long term than how it is currently. So banning is one area, but after the ban, multiple other levels of changes have to be executed. Secondly, understanding that food, if you're eating a lot of food, again, everything is related to mass consumerism of humans, and when humans can't stop their mass consumerism related problems, that is when it gets worsened. Any place where mass consumers, and why do you think Delhi has 400 level of air quality, whereas even Mumbai has it, Navi Mumbai has it 50 points or 100 points lower than Delhi. But when we have that 50 point, 100 point lower than Delhi, again, this is a mass consumerism, mass densely populated, it's a metropolitan city. So in metropolitan city, city related activities are also causing, like, is just burning of fuel been done by the government? When these people are doing research work and they are finding that 8% of impact was there because of burning of waste materials, who else burns the waste materials? Is the person who is they have data of only the city related places where waste material are getting burnt, right? But have they scrutinized the place where recycling is going on? Have they added that as a data as well? Because that is also waste material being burnt, but burnt for recycling. You might have to add that data into your data set. You might also have to add the data, not just data, but this is something you common sense will show you. Like in Kolkata and all, there is a lot of poverty in Kolkata. So in Kolkata, I have seen burning of wastage happens, and Kolkata's government is also very not very efficient in removing waste. So sometimes a lot of accumulation of waste and garbage happens in the streets, and at that time, people who live on the streets, they naturally have a mosquito problem. And there are a lot of poor people in Kolkata who live in the streets, and because there is a lot of street dwellers there, those street dwellers, and winter times in Kolkata is also very cold, then because of these reasons, during winter time, during cold season, during any time there is excess accumulation of wastage on the streets, who burns this? The city is not officially burning any of these waste, but these poor people are burning the waste to stay warm, to clean the area so that it doesn't continue having a lot of waste. So all these also happen, burning of waste happens at informal levels also. And how else burning can happen at informal level is, have you ever watched videos where people are doing YouTube videos of repurposing plastic, CDs, plastic materials, and recycling and repurposing it into some kind of artwork project or craft work project? Or if someone wants to use like big plastic buckets for their gardening, at that time also people do all kinds of design related work in their home. And they are not big industries, they are very small scale hobby like things people are doing. But every degree of person who does these plastic recycling related hobbies in their daily life, every one of us is adding. And if you are doing plastic related hobbies where you are, I have seen many people burn the plastic. So if you are burning the plastic for some of these recycling or repurposing things, at that time, every degree of burning you are doing, that is adding to how much level of smoke. At the time you are doing, you will not observe it. If you're doing it only, let's say, every vacation time, for 1 month vacation of your kids, you sit with your kids and do these art and craft project. But in that 1 month, when you're sitting and burning some plastic or a CD or any material that you're burning for these projects, whatever smoke you're generating, that adds to the air pollution. If in Diwali time, when students are going home, at that time schools give them all these art and craft projects, and at that time also, if that art and craft project involves something that will lead to burning activities, then again it will lead to air pollution. So do you see that can add to it? Who else adds to the air pollution? We When we do experiments in labs, and I have been part of that air pollution job experience, right? I've worked in research in India, in US, while studying bachelor's, while studying masters. So at a time also we add to air pollution with the chemical experiments, biochemical experiments that we are doing. That also, the university of a particular area also adds to the air pollution problems. So whatever, there are multiple places, and each of these places, if there is 10 universities in a city and they are doing some air pollution related work, those 10 universities are also responsible. The millions of population of a particular city is also responsible. The different 5-6 different activities a person is doing, that is also responsible. Then what else is responsible? The car related issues are also responsible. That if our cars, our trains, our buses, our motorcycles, our scooters, our any vehicle that we drive in India or use for public transport, any of these vehicles are not doing the right PUC, pollution under check measures, which is not simply that you go and get a pollution under check certificate from somewhere, but real pollution under check happens very rarely. And there are we also do not have, actually again the same problem. While the pollution under check policy has been implemented for many years in India, we do not have the adequate right places, number of places to do the real pollution check. And actually, if the pollution of a car is really bad, except when the car is really bad, someone is recommended to go and do a mechanical changes in their car. But otherwise, in our country, we do not have enough adequate number of people who know how to mechanically change things in a car. Like seriously speaking, in this whole where I live in Navi Mumbai, I know in the two places I live in Navi Mumbai, I only know two places where someone knows how to fix cars. And considering the percentage of population in this place, those two are two less facilities compared to how many people own cars and vehicles, and how many public transport related things are also prevalent in our country. So we do not have, like, if you want to give education also, should you give education of someone who's from low poverty place or low socioeconomic status, instead of giving them some of them, if they are smart with mechanical things, if they are smart in understanding mechanical engineering, give them those degrees, give them those certifications where they know how to fix a car, they know how to do these odd jobs, and give them good pay also for fixing a car. All these things you can create, like government can create so many job opportunities. So true building up of a economy of a place is not based on overconsumption of already consumable goods, and which is where society starts going wrong, when they start doing overconsumption of already mass produced goods or massly used goods. But understanding where the true need can be met by giving the right job to the people, that is equally necessary. Giving the right job, giving the right job necessary for the next phase of Earth's evolution, and also understanding which industries maybe shouldn't be doing so much business, and their business has to now be regulated better, or the business and industry has to be regulated in a way that right business happens rather than just mass scale business. And this is the whole purpose of when I made that other video also of downturns. When downturns happen, it's usually, and especially when large scale mass sudden downturn happens, that sudden downturn or mass scale downturn happens when multiple people are misaligned. But if we are realizing at the right time that we are misaligned and we don't live in denial, unlike these people who have written these papers who live in high denial, or people who will be reading these papers and then concluding wrongly that if only 8% of burning of garbage is leading to air pollution, we can burn garbage. That is a wrong conclusion, because just because it says only small percentages from garbage, you have which garbage, you may have only checked the garbage that the city is burning, you've not checked the other kinds of garbages that might be also burnt in your city informally by many places, or many other formal places might also be burning, but you have not considered, you might not have considered them in your data. And you are also not looking at vehicle pollution. You've not if you really want to solve, and in a place, any place where the air quality level or any place of the globe where the air quality level is 10 times, 20 times, 30 times higher than normal of what it used to be earlier, and also global norms, at that time you have to realize that this it's high time that possibly multiple interventions have to be done. Just one simple intervention will not work out. Multiple interventions of slow step by step changes, and these are all habits that humans have formed. So in order to reduce the habits of humans, slow practice of those habitual changes have to be implemented slowly, once every 6 months, once every year, something like that has to be initiated to make the habit into a really good practice. And understanding also what is the better aligned practice is also necessary, because when people are also switching to a different practice, so many people who don't want to burn garbage, don't want to add to plastic pollution, they are the ones who are trying to reduce the plastic quantity pollution by repurposing it into artwork and projects inside their home. But while repurposing it, it's still getting causing the air pollution. So that understanding has to develop, and the best way to solve the plastic pollution problem is to reduce our consumption of plastic based materials, which can be reduced, but when we are aware that this high level of plastic use should possibly not be there. Either one way is that, or when plastic is prevalent everywhere globally, then the way is to redirect the plastic recycling, repurposing into ways where burning is not happening, air pollution is not getting added into the repurposing process of plastic reusage. Right? Does that make sense? And then the secondary thing is, sometimes people are misinterpreting data in another way as well, where in the second paper that I'm going to reference, there it is showing that Delhi is one of the top 10 cities, green cities in India. So what happens is, in India, this is a chronic problem of Indians, that people look at these data, and not even just Delhi, the top greenest city of India to the bottom greenest city of India, they're all in similar boats actually, because compared to, let's say, Delhi is the top green city in the in terms of the, let's say Delhi has 7% greenery, and some other city has only 2% greenery, and that's why Delhi is there in that top 10 list. But whatever cities are there in that list, and after seeing that list you decide, oh, because we are in the top list of the number of cities which are green in India, we are safe. That is a misinterpretation of data again, because just seeing that just 7% of greenery in a city with millions of population, do you think it is going to be a health safe city? So even if Delhi reduces its air pollution, and then now after 2-3 years of initiatives you've reduced the air pollution, but after reducing the air pollution you still don't see much significant change again with patients' health status, what else do you have to factor in? You have to also factor in all the other health support unsupportive conditions also that could be leading to worsening of people's health. So do you understand how right scrutiny of data, right understanding of data, right understanding that even if data is showing only less impact is there, why that less impact is showing in my data analysis, when visibly I can common sense shows me that air pollution does indeed cause me to cough and keel over some days. If I am seeing it and experiencing it in my family, or causes my uncle or granduncle to suddenly keel over during festival time from air pollution, if they died from that or got severely hospitalized from that, all these are necessary. And again, if you don't have right way to analyze that data, what is severe hospitalization, what is death, what are multiple factors that can lead to death. So is it just air pollution that not every patient who is going to die will be directly correlated to the air pollution related condition. They could have died from air pollution plus other factors, and while their death was noted, the person who's noting their death could have only noted the other factors than the air pollution as their factor. But does that mean air pollution was not responsible for it? Like, my mother died of a cardiac arrest, and in her data there were some areas which showed that liver problems were part of her death. But despite this data present that liver problems were there, is just the liver problem the cause of her death or cardiac arrest? No, there were multiple factors that on the day the doctor has done a report and given a report on why she died, on that day these were the primary factors that led to her death. But there are secondary, tertiary factors that all led to her weakening of body's health, and all of those factors are actually also responsible for her death, which who will know? Me, who lived with her for 20 years before her death, knows what are the other factors related to her daily life that contributed to her death, right? So it's like that. Like, when you actually look and delve deeply into any problem, the first answer that you get is only the primary answer, very obvious cause which you can see from your visible eyes. But the secondary, tertiary, quaternary answers lies in much more deeper delving, much more deeper understanding, much more wider understanding of the root causes of the problem. And when it's a mass scale or long term problem, there is usually not going to be just one culprit, it will be a group of culprits. And especially in larger cities, big cities, but right now air pollution problem is a global problem. And any city who doesn't understand that, along with solving air pollution problem, if we because of coronavirus, because of COVID, people have awoken to the fact that air pollution problems need to be solved. And because air pollution problems are increasing, that's why also people have realized that the air pollution problems have to be solved. But along with air pollution problems, oxygen level problems also have to be solved. That was also what coronavirus was talking and trying to awaken us to, that we do not have enough sufficient oxygen for everyone to exist healthily on earth. And those who do have long COVID symptoms, they are all those people whose body has likely conditions or their daily life has those conditions that do not support their long term oxygen intake in the body, or oxygen circulation within their body is not at a good level, and which can only be stopped not simply by scrutinizing the air pollution of your area. But those cities where I went, where air pollution was much less than Mumbai, they were like 1/10, but 1/4 less, 1/5 less than in Mumbai or Navi Mumbai. At that time, those cities where the air pollution was that significant level less, they still had air pollution from vehicle pollution. They also had air pollution from use of fungicides, pesticides. They also had water pollution from water pollution related elements of their city. So it wasn't as if when I was getting breathing problems due to high level of air pollution in a particular part of India where air pollution was high, on the other places where air pollution AQI level wise, the air pollution level is not high, because when you're spraying pesticides, most pesticides are particulate matter, most fungicides are also particulate matter. So when you're spraying these chemicals on your trees, or fruit ripening agents, all these things that you're spraying on your tree or plant to grow them fast or make them look beautiful and shiny, all these chemicals that you're using on your greenery, that impacts the health of your greenery. You just don't know it is impacting the health, because like how a human, when they slowly start declining in health, it takes like 10 years, 5 years to slowly be declining in health. Same way with a tree or a plant also, slowly the decline in their health is happening. So because slowly the decline is there in their health is happening, even if your city shows 7% greenery is there, it doesn't mean it's 7% healthy greenery. One city could have 7% greenery, another city could have 2% greenery. But if they have maintained, the 2% greenery city has maintained that greenery in a much better quality, though, and they have healthier trees, then the amount of oxygen being produced by those trees might be higher enough to sustain the population in that city. That can also happen, but 2% is very less, even 7% is very less compared to the population of a city. So ideally, it should not be a human jungle on earth. Ideally, it should be a greenery filled earth with humans existing amongst the greenery. But we don't have that. We have lost touch with that. But if we want to get back to that, at least 50, 60, 70% greenery should be there in places inside our homes, outside our homes. And right greenery, just having, if I buy, like, say 10 potted plants in my home, and I decide, oh, I have greenery and they're all green plants, let's say green, air giving, oxygen giving plants. I have bought 5-10 of them, and some are flowering plants, some are fruit giving plants, and some are just oxygen giving plants. Now let's say I am a single person living in a small home where I have a balcony filled with greenery. Does that still, if I'm continuously spraying chemicals, or my water is polluted, or my soil is polluted, or my air is polluted, or all factors and conditions are polluted, do you think I will get oxygen, good quality oxygen, healthy life circumstance, if I just have greenery? No, I also need along, and eventually someday the plant will also die, someday I might also die before the plant dies, someday after the plant has died, if I don't realize that what were the reasons why my plants died. Many people do this, like in offices you have greenery, but after a few years, if your plants have died, because it takes a plant to die, possibly after a few years it will die if not too many factors are bad in its environment. So let's say after 2-3 years your potted plants, 10 plants died. What are people doing? If you're rich enough, or financially secure enough, you are just going and buying more seeds or more plants, instead of realizing what are the conditions that is causing these plants that I already had to die. Why did they die? Instead of focusing on that, because you have some abundance, because you have some financial security, people just keep buying new and new plants every few years in a office, or in a personal life, or in a hospitality industry setting. Wherever we have abundance, there people are doing it, instead of focusing on why are my plants dying. This is what literally happened in one of my relatives' homes, where when my older people were there, when the earth where they had the land and the home was new fertile earth which humans had not destroyed, or at that time when human pollution had not destroyed that earth, the number of trees and plants and greenery of that same land was much higher. But then they decided that slowly, because of human activities over decades of existence there, which the human activities from people who are passing that neighborhood, as well as people who live in that particular land, both of which were impacting the air and water and soil content of that home. So now those same land was not able to grow same quality plants as before. So now the plants are diseased, they are dying sooner, they are not giving good produce, or very less water using, or those kind of plants are being grown there than those kind of plants which need good quality water, which need good soil conditions. So they have transported that whole area is turning from a very fertile soil into a less fertile soil. But if the people who are growing plants there don't realize that the soil has now become less fertile, why it has become less fertile, how can we revert it back to becoming again more fertile like before, then can the greenery, even if the percentage of greenery has reduced because of construction activities and other human activities around there. But let's say there was a particular miraculous land where percentage of greenery hadn't reduced, like it was 50% of the land had greenery,